It started with a few discounts. Then came the price wars. Now entire states are watching their motorcycle markets unravel. But the number one spot, what's happening there doesn't even look like a dealership anymore. It looks like a shutdown, and they're practically giving the bikes away. Number 7. Colorado. They used to come from all over the country. Riders with weathered saddlebags and adventure in their eyes, crossing state lines to take on Colorado's alpine passes and high desert trails. The Rockies weren't just a backdrop. They were the destination. From Grand Junction to Colorado Springs, motorcycles were part of the local identity. Dual sports, long-legged tourers, even battle-hardened Harleys were a common sight, zigzagging across winding roads with the Front Range in the distance. For years, local dealerships thrived. Riders wanted more than machines. They wanted belonging. And in Colorado, they found it. But now, something has shifted, quietly, sharply, and few outside the region understand how fast it's unraveling. At first, it looked like a seasonal slump. Then it became a pattern. Insurance premiums for motorcycles shot up after a spike in thefts and collisions in Denver's metro area. Anti-noise ordinances followed, with towns like Boulder and Fort Collins cracking down on modified exhausts. And with traffic enforcement turning its attention toward motorcycles, particularly in scenic areas popular with weekend riders, many older bikers started parking their machines permanently. Urban developers, chasing the rising demand for walkability and electric transportation, began framing motorcycles as a relic of a fading lifestyle. Suddenly, younger buyers, the very demographic manufacturers hoped to court, lost interest entirely. Instead of asking about saddle height or throttle response, they were comparing electric scooters and Tesla financing plans. Dealerships responded the only way they knew how, by discounting aggressively. Dual sport motorcycles from brands like KTM, Yamaha, and Suzuki are now sitting untouched, sometimes marked down by thousands of dollars. Even premium bikes like the BMW GS 1250 or the Honda Africa Twin are being offered with steep trade-in bonuses or zero-interest financing in counties where they once had waiting lists. In places like Pueblo and Durango, dealers that overstocked in 2024 expecting another riding boom are facing a harsh correction. They misread the room, and now they're paying the price. Insiders close to the matter say this is not just a temporary downturn. One Colorado Springs dealer described it as a lifestyle collapse. He pointed to his inventory of V-twin cruisers, adventure bikes, and sport tours, all models once considered top sellers, now covered in dust, despite being less than a year old. He admitted many of them were taken on trade during the short-lived COVID motorcycle surge when demand temporarily exploded. But that wave has crashed, and what's left behind are unsold machines, stiff floor plan financing bills, and a shrinking customer base. Even Harley-Davidson dealers are feeling it. The boomers who once ruled Colorado's scenic byways are either aging out, relocating, or cashing in. And the new generation? They aren't showing up. Meanwhile, used motorcycle markets are being flooded with trade-ins that no one wants. Listings for nearly new adventure bikes, often with fewer than 5,000 miles, are piling up online. Buyers are cautious. Many are waiting for further price drops. Others are looking at neighboring states where registration and insurance costs are lower. The pressure on local dealers is only increasing. Some have started bundling services, offering free gear, prepaid maintenance, and loyalty discounts to sweeten deals that buyers still hesitate to accept. But none of it seems to be working. The demand, once natural and effortless, is gone. But one southern state is taking this even further, where liquidation isn't just common, it's the new business model. Share your ride and favorite spots in the comments. We want to hear from you. And if this content's your style, hit that like button and subscribe. Number 6. Georgia. The empty spaces between showroom bikes used to be a sign of success, of units sold, customers thrilled, and back orders stacking up for the next shipment. But now in cities like Atlanta, Augusta, and Macon, those empty spaces tell a different story. Walk into a dealership in Georgia today and you'll notice it almost immediately. The smiles are thinner, the conversations are quieter, the coffee's still warm, but the foot traffic has vanished. Something is broken in Georgia's motorcycle market, and it's not the machine. It's the momentum. A once reliable customer base has disappeared, and dealerships are being forced to dump inventory at shocking rates to stay afloat. What caused it? The story starts with overconfidence. In 2021 and 2022, Georgia dealers bet big on a pandemic-fueled motorcycle renaissance. Stimulus cash and remote work drove up bike sales across the state, especially among first-time riders. Dealerships expanded inventory, upgraded their floor plans, and brought in higher-end stock. Baggers, cruisers, cafe racers, you name it, they ordered it. They were preparing for a future that never came. When interest rates spiked, consumer credit began to dry up, the market didn't just slow, it slammed into a wall. Loan rejections became common, delinquencies crept up, and the buyers who used to stroll in with financing approvals now asked about layaway. Dealers in Atlanta are sitting on more unsold Harley-Davidson Street Glide specials, Indian Chieftains, and Yamaha Bolt Rs than they can count. Even used bikes that once flew off the lot are stagnating, especially in suburban areas where insurance premiums have quietly surged. A 25-year-old rider quoted nearly $2,000 per year for a two-cylinder cruiser said it best. It's not even the bike, it's the bills. And while the machines themselves remain mechanically solid, they're financially out of reach for many of the younger riders dealerships were counting on to replace retiring boomers. Rural Georgia tells a similar tale but with a twist. In areas like Valdosta and Albany, where income levels are lower and public transit is limited, motorcycles are still desirable, but only at rock-bottom prices. Here, dealerships are stripping down packages, offering low-mileage used models, and promoting starter bikes like the Honda Rebel 500 and Kawasaki Vulcan S at prices barely above trade-in value. One dealership near Warner Robins recently sold a 2-year-old Sportster S for under $8,000, just to free up space for models they aren't even sure they can move. Insiders tracking this shift believe the real damage is being masked by manufacturer incentives. Brands are quietly helping dealers subsidize interest payments and floor plan costs, but that lifeline is starting to fray. Without high turnover sales, dealerships are sitting on dead stock, and many of them are quietly unloading it through back-channel deals, private sales, and partner auctions. A few are even brokering transfers to states with stronger seasonal demand, just to avoid writing off brand new bikes as losses. But the deepest cut isn't economic, it's cultural. Georgia's rich motorcycle history, from Atlanta's cafe racer scene to Savannah's touring community, was built on energy and optimism. Local clubs, meetup rides, and track days gave riders a sense of purpose and progression. Now those same communities are thinning. Event attendance is down. Dealers are canceling demo days. Even service departments are running light, as fewer bikes on the road means fewer breakdowns and oil changes. And before you think that's the worst of it, listen to this. One desert state is experiencing a bike crash so severe, even the heat can't cover it up. Don't guess when it comes to riding gear. The products we've tested are right below this video. Number 5. Arizona. It's not just the pavement that's cracking in the Arizona sun, it's the motorcycle industry. In a state built for riding with year-round blue skies and miles of open road, the last thing anyone expected was a collapse in bike demand. But that's exactly what's happening. From Phoenix to Tucson to Flagstaff, dealerships are facing a heat wave of a different kind. One made of stalled sales, overstocked showrooms, and desperation-level price cuts. It's the kind of unraveling you don't see in headlines, but once you step inside a dealership, it's obvious. Arizona's motorcycle market is running dry. During the motorcycle boom of 2020 and 2021, Arizona seemed unstoppable. Californians were moving in droves, bringing their riding culture and deep pockets with them. In response, dealers bulked up. They ordered aggressively. Sport bikes for urban streets, baggers for the retirees in Scottsdale, and dual sports for the adventure crowd itching to roam the desert. They expanded showrooms, added brands like Royal Enfield, Ducati, and Zero motorcycles, and even began offering in-house financing to make purchases easier. On paper, it was a strategic masterstroke, but in practice, it became an inventory nightmare. Then came 2024. Brutal heat waves scorched riding seasons. Average high temperatures in Phoenix surpassed 110 degrees for a record number of days, pushing riders off the road and into air-conditioned cars. The electric vehicle trend started to bite harder than expected, with newcomers opting for silent sedans over two-wheeled Rebels, and even longtime riders began to question the cost of ownership. Insurance premiums rose, registration fees spiked, And suddenly, buyers started ghosting their dealers. The same models that once had wait lists, the Honda Goldwing, BMW R1250 GS, and Indian Challenger were now being offered with multi-thousand-dollar rebates and free maintenance packages. Behind the scenes, dealers began feeling the financial burn. Several medium-sized showrooms in the Phoenix metro area have quietly downsized or consolidated with other locations. One multi-brand dealer in Mesa admitted their inventory holding costs had doubled in the span of 18 months. Rows of unsold bikes now sit under fluorescent lights, polished but untouched. It's not uncommon to find brand new models from 2023 still listed at full price on showroom floors, even though they've depreciated by 10 to 15% just by standing still. And it's not just the big bikes. Entry-level motorcycles, once thought to be safe bets, are now liabilities. Models like the Kawasaki Ninja 400, Yamaha MT-03, and Harley-Davidson Nightster are sitting unsold across college towns like Tempe and Tucson. Gen Z interest in motorcycles has waned, replaced by e-bikes, ride shares, and digital escapism. Even dealers who tried to pivot by hosting social rides and beginner events have seen declining turnout. One former event coordinator put it bluntly, "We're fighting TikTok, gas prices, and the weather, and right now we're losing." The resale market tells the same story. Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist are overflowing with used bikes at record low prices. Sellers are accepting offers thousands below Blue Book value. Dealers are refusing trade-ins altogether on certain models. The glut has gotten so bad in southern Arizona that a few dealerships have begun offloading unsold units to rental fleets or auction houses just to keep floor plans from crushing their balance sheets. Yet nothing compares to what's happening in one major Midwestern state where dealers aren't just struggling to sell, they're vanishing altogether. Number 4. Illinois. It starts with a shuttered window, then a dark showroom, then a for-lease sign where a Harley banner once flapped in the wind. All across Illinois, the motorcycle landscape is changing, but not in the way anyone hoped. In cities like Chicago, Rockford, Peoria, and even smaller towns that once had thriving motorcycle communities, dealerships aren't just discounting bikes, they're closing their doors. It's happening slowly enough to stay out of national headlines, but fast enough to send shockwaves through the local riding scene. The collapse of Illinois motorcycle retail isn't just a trend, it's an unraveling. Illinois has always had a unique motorcycling identity. With its blend of urban grit, wide rural highways, and seasonal riding culture, it catered to every kind of rider. Sport bike enthusiasts blasted down Lakeshore Drive while baggers cruised along Route 66. Riders gathered for massive spring rallies, and dealers did brisk business from March through October. But the state's high taxes, erratic weather, and rising urban insurance costs have turned a once stable market into a financial minefield. The tipping point came when dealerships started betting big on mid to high-tier models, expecting a post-pandemic boom to continue. It didn't. Instead, a perfect storm hit. Sales dropped off dramatically in late 2023. Snow came early, and inflation began squeezing middle-income buyers. Motorcycle loan rates climbed above 9% for many borrowers, and then came the closures. One of the oldest multi-brand dealerships in the southern suburbs of Chicago quietly shut down in early 2024 after more than 4 decades in business. Their website vanished, their social feeds went silent, and dozens of bikes, Harleys, Kawasaki's, Yamahas, and even custom choppers ended up in liquidation sales with barely any notice to the public. Even surviving dealers are in retreat. In central Illinois, shops are cutting staff, scaling back inventory, and avoiding risky models altogether. Forget about finding high-end bikes like the Harley CVO Road Glide or Ducati Multistrada. They're no longer being stocked. Instead, floor space is packed with budget-friendly cruisers and smaller displacement imports that still struggle to sell. And those left unsold? Some dealers have started quietly transferring inventory out of state to jurisdictions with lower registration costs and higher year-round demand. Others are leaning heavily on consignment, hoping private sellers can take the risk instead. But here's the real warning sign. Event cancellations, long-standing demo days, group rides, and bike nights, once the social glue of local riding culture, are being axed to save money. Insurance costs for hosting them have risen, attendance has fallen, and the energy that once defined Illinois' bike scene is fading. One former general manager in Bloomington told us, "It's not that people don't love riding anymore. It's that they can't afford to love it here. Between rising toll fees, road construction, and punishing insurance quotes in urban ZIP codes, the math just doesn't work for younger or casual riders. Even used bike financing is drying up, and cash buyers are few and far between. Insiders close to the matter say the full scope of the problem hasn't hit the surface yet. Because of dealer group consolidations and private ownership, many closures are being quietly handled without press releases or headlines. But the ripple effects are real. Riders have fewer places to test ride, fewer service centers, and fewer communities to plug into. Still, if you think Illinois is facing a crisis, just wait until we head east to a coastal state where dealers are drowning in inventory and begging riders to take it before tax hikes wipe them out completely. Number 3. New Jersey. It's one of the last places you'd expect a motorcycle collapse. New Jersey, home to dense suburban sprawl, endless highways, and thousands of daily commuters. Riding here has always had a gritty appeal. From Jersey City to Toms River, the bike culture used to be all about carving lanes, long weekend rides to the coast, and the kind of year-round ownership that made motorcycles more necessity than luxury. But now that culture is being buried beneath layers of bureaucracy, rising taxes, and economic pressure that has left motorcycle dealerships gasping for air. What's happening in New Jersey isn't just a slowdown, it's a quiet implosion. The warning signs began as early as 2022 when state vehicle taxes and insurance premiums crept steadily higher. But by 2025, the impact had become impossible to ignore. Buyers stopped showing up, finance departments grew silent, and motorcycle dealers from Newark to Cherry Hill were left staring at aging inventory with no clear way out. What changed? Everything. New Jersey's already tight cost of living margins squeezed even tighter. Residents began downsizing. Cars, homes, expenses, and motorcycles, once a passion project or daily rider, quickly became disposable. The financial reality is harsh. Insurance rates for motorcycles in urban zip codes like Camden, Trenton, and Elizabeth have risen by as much as 30% in just 2 years. Riders report paying over $2,000 annually to insure a middleweight cruiser. Factor in property taxes, congestion tolls, emissions fees, and rising fuel prices, and even the most loyal riders are starting to back away. Dealers have responded the only way they can, by slashing prices. It's not uncommon now to find brand new Harley-Davidson Sportsters, Yamaha MT-07 models, or Kawasaki Vulcan S units priced 10 to 15% below MSRP, and yet they're still sitting unsold. Some dealerships have turned to quiet liquidation tactics. A few in North Jersey are offloading unsold bikes to out-of-state buyers or working with local wholesalers just to clear space. Trade-in offers are laughably low. One rider trying to upgrade from a 2018 Rebel 500 was offered less than $2,000 for a bike in near-perfect condition. The resale market isn't faring any better. Craigslist and Facebook listings are overflowing, with bikes under 5 years old being listed for half of what they were bought for, often with no bites. But what really seals the crisis is the absence of new riders. New Jersey's younger generation is no longer joining the motorcycle scene at meaningful rates. Licensing rates for motorcycle endorsements are declining. Safety course enrollments have dropped, and even social media, once a breeding ground for two-wheeled excitement, shows a noticeable drop in local bike-related content. One dealership manager in Edison put it simply, "It's like the lights went out. No noise, no buzz, just inventory we can't move and staff we can't keep." Several longtime sales professionals have left the industry entirely, citing burnout and lack of opportunity. Behind closed doors, many insiders agree. The market correction in New Jersey has already turned into a crisis. Manufacturers are pulling back on regional allocations. Dealerships are refusing to order new models. Some are only keeping the lights on by focusing entirely on service and repairs. But even that's not enough. As motorcycles age and owners ride less, even oil changes and tire swaps are drying up. The ecosystem that once sustained New Jersey's thriving motorcycle industry is now breaking down. But one state further south is taking that to the extreme, where dealerships are sitting on thousands of bikes they can't even give away, and manufacturers are watching the meltdown with growing panic. Number 2. Texas. The open roads of Texas used to be a rider's dream. Long, flat highways that stretched to the horizon, massive dealership showrooms packed with chrome and steel, riding weather nearly year-round. For decades, Texas wasn't just good for motorcycles, it was made for them. But now something has gone terribly wrong. From Dallas to Houston to San Antonio, dealerships are sitting on mountains of inventory. the phones are quiet, and the markdown signs are going up faster than the bikes can leave the floor. What looked like an unstoppable motorcycle economy is now unraveling, and the reasons why should worry every major brand in the country. During the buying frenzy of 2020 and 2021, Texas dealers were at the center of the action. Big box motorcycle outlets, especially in North Texas, went all in, expanding their floor space, increasing orders, and taking advantage of low-interest dealer floor plans. Harley-Davidson, Kawasaki, Yamaha, even smaller boutique brands like Royal Enfield and Moto Guzzi were stocked in massive quantities. The state's booming population, cheap gas, and lack of regulation made it seem like a foolproof bet, but that bet didn't pay off. What few saw coming was the one-two punch of rising consumer debt and shifting generational values. By 2024, motorcycle loan rejection rates had climbed to a record high across Texas. Thousands of would-be buyers were walking out of dealerships empty-handed, not because they didn't want a bike, but because they simply couldn't qualify. At the same time, younger Texans weren't following in their parents' boot prints. Gen Z isn't showing up at dealerships the way millennials and Gen X once did. Many are opting for compact cars, electric scooters, or public transit. And when they do ride, they're buying secondhand through private sales, not brand new off the floor. The result? A statewide glut. Warehouses in the greater Houston area are reportedly filled with brand new motorcycles that haven't moved in over a year. In Central Texas, dealerships are quietly offering bundle deals. Buy a cruiser, get a starter bike at cost. Dealers in Fort Worth are discounting everything from touring Harleys to dual sport Hondas by thousands of dollars. In some cases, they're offering cashback rebates on inventory that hasn't even been test-ridden. And while these sales might look like a win for buyers, they're a red flag for the industry. Service departments are hurting too. With fewer new riders hitting the road, there are fewer bikes needing maintenance. Add to that the increasing reliability of modern machines and a DIY culture growing among Texas riders, and suddenly even oil changes and tire replacements aren't generating the income they used to. One dealership service manager in Austin told us their repair bay hasn't been fully booked in over 6 months, a first in more than a decade. But perhaps the biggest warning sign is the internal shift in how dealers are operating. Inventory managers are no longer ordering aggressively. They're canceling shipments, slashing employee hours, and refusing trade-ins on models they can't turn around within 90 days. One large-scale Harley dealer in South Texas is rumored to be planning a full-scale restructuring before the year ends, cutting staff and consolidating stores just to stay solvent. And all of this is happening despite the fact that Texas still has one of the largest registered motorcycle populations in the country. Demand hasn't disappeared entirely. It's just no longer connected to the traditional dealership pipeline. Still, if you think a motorcycle flood in Texas is bad, the final state on our list is facing something even worse. Where bike liquidation has become so aggressive, it's starting to look like an exit strategy. We've been tracking the shifts in the motorcycle market, and it's clear things are changing fast. Dealerships are being forced to make drastic moves just to survive. If you think these changes are as unsettling as we do, give this video a like and share your opinion in the comments. We want to know what you think. Number 1. Florida. At first glance, Florida seems like a biker's paradise. Endless sunshine, flat coastal highways, and one of the largest retirement populations in the country. It's a place where motorcycles have always thrived, especially cruisers, trikes, and big touring machines. From Daytona's legendary Bike Week to the sun-drenched back roads of the Keys, two wheels have long been part of the state's identity. But beneath the surface, something has shifted. Florida's motorcycle market isn't just cooling, it's crashing. And what's happening now is more than a sales slump. It's a statewide fire sale, where bikes are being dumped in bulk and dealers are scrambling to stay afloat. It started subtly. Around late 2023, dealers noticed inventory wasn't moving like it used to. Bikes that should have sold within weeks were still sitting in prime showroom positions months later. But instead of panicking, most assumed it was seasonal. Then came the repo wave. Thousands of motorcycles, especially high-ticket touring and cruiser models, began flooding the secondary market after buyers defaulted on loans. Many of these were financed during the COVID-era stimulus surge, when credit flowed freely and buyers were eager to escape the world on two wheels. But by 2025, inflation, layoffs, and housing costs hit hard and motorcycle payments became expendable. Dealerships quickly found themselves caught in the middle. On one end, new bikes kept arriving, pre-ordered months earlier, while on the other, the used market became saturated with repossessions selling at massive discounts. Floor plan interest costs skyrocketed and showroom space disappeared. In cities like Orlando, Tampa, and Miami, some dealerships are now storing unsold inventory off-site in warehouses or parking lots. One dealer in West Palm Beach admitted they're offering buy one, get one 50% off promotions on Harley-Davidson and Indian models just to move volume. And it's not just cruisers. Adventure bikes, scooters, sport tourers, every category is feeling the heat. Brands like Suzuki and Yamaha, which once dominated the affordable middleweight space, are being sold well below MSRP. Some lightly used models are being listed on dealer websites for under $6,000, with financing incentives so aggressive they resemble auto deals. One Suzuki V-Strom 650 in Naples sold for nearly 30% below its original sticker price, with free delivery thrown in. Insiders close to the matter say the issue is more than just excess inventory. It's also about confidence. Florida's motorcycle culture is aging, and younger generations aren't taking the baton. Licensing rates for riders under 35 are down. Attendance at regional motorcycle shows has dipped dramatically, and many dealerships that once relied on high-margin apparel, accessories, and service revenue are now seeing sharp drops across the board. Even snowbirds, once reliable seasonal buyers, are pulling back, citing tighter retirement budgets and rising insurance costs. The psychological toll is visible too. Walk into some Florida dealerships and you'll notice fewer salespeople, fewer promotions, and a palpable sense of urgency beneath the surface. In Fort Lauderdale, one long-standing multi-brand dealership recently closed its doors without warning, citing unmanageable market conditions. Those conditions include loan rejection rates over 40%, inventory insurance hikes, and shrinking manufacturer incentives. The result? A motorcycle ecosystem that feels more like it's in liquidation mode than in sales mode. Before you go, make sure to check out our video on what's happening with U.S. motorcycle brands as Japanese bikes continue to take over. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you stay updated on all the latest trends, and let us know your thoughts in the comment below. There's a lot more coming your way.